Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack, and today, always up to the minute, you're going to get a review. Well, it's not really a review, but I'm going to be driving the Yaris about 2 months after all the other YouTube channels, because that's how up to the minute I am. But the whole point of today is my mate Metin has just started up a new business selling cars. He has the new GR Yaris, but he also has a 106 Rallye, and I thought, what a brilliant opportunity to do a sort of a test between the two. This was also a homologation rally special, but from the, what was it, in the 90s, Metin? 98. From 98. And about 20 years later, we have the Yaris. Now, 260 horsepower, just about. It's the most powerful production 3-cylinder engine around. It is really a completely customized car. This really is quite a special little thing, and you have to applaud Toyota for even trying to do something like this, because they didn't just lob on some nice wheels, stiffer springs or anything like that. This is really, by modern standards, absolutely the real deal. It's not even really a Yaris chassis. So half the chassis, the front bit is Yaris, the back bit is adapted from a Corolla and a CHR, I think. The wheelbase is the same, but the car is actually longer, it's wider. Suspension is completely custom. The roof is carbon fiber. The bonnet and the wings, they are made out of Rallye. So it's quite a special thing really. Obviously it's a lot lower, but it's completely custom. The roof line is actually lower at the back as well, so that for rallying, they could get more air to any rear spoilers that they're using. So well done Toyota, absolutely. You know, it's basically a bespoke little rally car, and considering they have to produce it, I think it's at least 25,000 nowadays. Back a few years, Peugeot were absolutely famed for producing absolutely mind-blowing GTIs, or quick little hatches. The 205 was legendary, and there was the GTI, which was amazing, but also the Rallye. And in the last years, the Rallies have really gone up in value. The 106 replaced the 205. They had a GTI version that had 120 horsepower. The Rallye version wasn't about looking flashier, it was really just about the rally side. So they just took stuff out. They took out equipment, they had steel wheels, it was cheap, it wasn't expensive, and it was really just focused on making it a good drive. There were two Rallies. There was the Series 1, which had the 1.3 engine, and the Series 2, which had the 1.6, which was an 8-valve version of the GTI engine. So that put out about 104 horsepower. So that's what we're looking at here. However, the weight is, I think, 895 kilograms for this little puppy. And for the Yaris, it's still commendably low, I suppose. It's 1295, considering as well that this is a 4-wheel drive, programmable bias. I think as standard, it's 60-40 split. But you can get the fun split, which is 30 at the front, 70 at the rear for a bit of skidding. And you can also basically get, I think the track spec split is 50-50. But anyway, considering what's in it, I think the weight is good. Obviously, this has a lot less to deal with in terms of safety, you know, comfort and all the rest of it. So you know why it's going to be lighter. But I think it's going to be really interesting to compare just how differently they drive. Blast from the past being in this little car. It has a lot in common with the 205. It actually, believe it or not, feels better built. Heel and towing is sort of really easy. The pedals are really closely spaced together. But yeah, it actually feels a bit more solid than my old 205. And the first thing that you notice is the steering. It's just incredible. And just the whole car sort of floats around, but is controlled. It's a trick that only the French seem to have been able to pull off, and even they can't seem to do it anymore. It's just, it's incredible. It really is. There's nothing like it to drive on a bumpy country road like this. There really isn't anything that can compare. So you've got great sort of, it's nice and airy. You got the driving position is great. The seats are so comfortable. Again, so French. and modern cars aren't like that. But it's really soft, comfortable seat. It's just unreal in a little sporty car. And what they did with these is that they didn't just put stiffer suspension on compared to the GTI and so on. I'm not actually sure if the suspension is stiffer than the GTI, it might be, but they just took stuff out. So there's no electric windows, there's no aircon, all that kind of stuff. It's just the pure way of doing it. And then put a smaller engine with less power. But the end result is just, it's just brilliant. You can have fun like at sensible speeds. And the fact that the suspension isn't rock solid means that it actually helps you, because you get more feel from the car moving around, but it's a controlled movement, as I said before. So it's not like it's leaning too much, but it leans just enough that you can feel what it's doing. It adds to the experience. It's just amazing. And the way it tackles bumps, for such a light car too, unrivaled. What a fantastic little car. One thing is the steering is less direct than I thought, and maybe because it's unassisted, they couldn't make it quite as quick. Once you're used to it, it feels completely natural and it's absolutely fine. But initially it just surprised me on turning that you need to move the wheel more than I was thinking you would do. So as I mentioned, there were two engines with the 106 Rallye. There was the 1.3 and the 1.6. This is the 1.6. At lower revs, if you put your foot down, it responds immediately, which is actually really nice. And in a way, it made the car, when I was pootling around, it made it feel quicker than I thought it was going to be. But then the thing is, once you keep pressing down that accelerator pedal, it makes less and less difference, if you know what I mean. So it's a bit of a bluff. It feels really responsive and great when you're driving it slowly. When you're driving it quicker, put your foot the rest of the way down, doesn't make a huge difference. Also because the travel on the accelerator is very short, so there isn't a lot there. But it is really suited to the car. Would be nice, this gear stick, I think the linkage is possibly a little bit past its best. Oh, it's so much fun. I'm not going quick. Most of the time, well always, I'm within the speed limits here, and yet I'm having so much fun. You've got to experience one of these cars to understand what I'm saying. So much feel through the wheel, it's just lovely. Wow, this is what driving is all about. Don't have to go mentally fast, and still you can have a lot of fun. I love it, I love it. God, it is brilliant. Time to go back and see how the Yaris compares. It's quite odd with this GR because basically the off-idle response, so when the turbo isn't engaged, is so weak that just if you're just pulling away or something like that, you have to give it quite a lot of beans just to get it to move. So anyway, off boost, and I wouldn't quite call it turbo lag, because that's not exactly what it is, but off boost it feels really puny. The thing is, I guess when you're on it you just wouldn't notice, and it's a really muscular engine in actual fact. So whenever you pull off, once you get into the power band, wow, it feels like all those 260 horsepower are definitely there and very, very healthy. All right, while we're still behind the tractor, let's talk a little bit about everything else. It's pretty comfortable. You feel higher up, which I think is natural because this is actually a bigger car. It's actually quite a bit a bigger car. And the interior is obviously much nicer by modern car standards. I don't know how it would compare because I don't do a lot of modern car stuff. But it seems like a perfectly nice place for me to sit in. It's a bit of Alcantara. Maybe the standard cars don't have that. The seats are nice. Back off the tractor. So yeah, the interior is nice. The driving position is good. You have the wheel where you want it, or you can get it where you want it. Big kudos for Toyota. This is only available in a manual. Good lads. Really good call. Again, the suspension is really quite well judged for these sorts of roads, and I guess this is, after all, supposed to be the basis for a rally car. The gear change, really precise, really short, really good. And I was expecting the steering to be pretty dire, because all the modern systems that I've used, which are electrically assisted, as this will be, it's like a spring. Oh, the power band, honestly, it's like a spring. Anyway, it's better than I thought it was going to be. It doesn't approach the amazingness of that 106 steering, but it is good. It is far faster. Lock to lock, I don't know what it is, but it is a lot faster. It has more precision even. It's good. It is good. It's not the best, but it's definitely good enough. Now the engine, it's just got a wave of mid-range. It's just off throttle. It's just not quite as responsive as I would like, so blipping, all that kind of stuff. I know there's an auto blip on here. They're both 1.6s, which is interesting. The four-cylinder on the Pug, actually, it is responsive, but it's not the nicest sounding or the nicest feeling engine. It's a little bit rough. Now the brakes, I can't blame Toyota for this. All modern systems are the same, but not a huge amount of feel. And again, that hair trigger response that you seem to get in modern cars. And it's good. It really is. Does it put as much of a smile on my face as the Pug? Probably not, but God, it's so good. It's got so much grip. Very impressive. It is actually really good. It's a bit mind-blowing how quick it is from point to point. It really is a fast little thing. This would be an amazing amount of fun on a short track. Wow, like Brands Indy, or I don't know, one of those little tracks. It'd be amazing. Really good. I'm pretty impressed. Good little car. The Yaris has really impressed me, and I think that for a car made in this time, it's really impressive, and I have to applaud Toyota. I think that they've done something amazing. They didn't really need to do it. They didn't need to go this far. It's a fun little car. But there is just, for me personally, there's something just a little bit lacking, and it's hard to describe, but in the 106, everything is immediate. I know this is a turbo and this isn't, but from throttle response to the way the brakes respond, to the feel that you get through from the steering and from the chassis, the messages are completely clear and unclouded. On this, it's fun. But the whole car is slightly clouded, and I think it's so clever with the four-wheel drive system and everything that it's doing. You can throw it down the road at a really ridiculous speed, but it's just not quite as much fun as the 106. On a normal British country road, you cannot beat the 106. It's unbelievable, and I have to say, I even prefer it to my 205 GTI. But there's no way that Toyota could ever have replicated something that feels like this, simply because in a modern car you have to have all this safety stuff, you have to have all the comforts and things. You're never going to get a car that weighs 900 kilos, you just can't do it. So really impressive what Toyota have done with this, and I'm not slagging it off. I like it, I really do. But it's still a modern car, and in terms of pure driving fun, it cannot compare to the 106. So let's face it, was it really a possibility that I was going to like the newer car over the older one? After all, I have a bit of a track record. Well, look, all I can tell you is I gave it an unbiased shot. I really did. And I am really impressed by that Toyota. I really do like it a lot. It's just that for pure driving pleasure, feedback and feel, the Pug is better. Of course, take them on a track, anything like that, and it would be, I'm sure, a completely different thing. But on little country roads like that, the Pug is just, at normal speeds, the Pug is just unbelievable. So please do, both these cars are for sale. The The Yaris is a competition pack and it has 35,000. The Pug is up for 10 grand. I think Metin's done a couple of last jobs on it. But if you're interested, go to his website, RSR Cars, or actually go anyway and have a look and see what stock he's got. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please do also subscribe to my Instagram. See you soon.